Warning, if you're easily offended, triggered, or considered a snowflake by your friends, you're listening to the wrong podcast. The views and opinions you're about to hear are raw, unfiltered, and without any regard for political correctness.
I'm offended.
Shut up. Longtime friends Scott, Will, Davey, and Jay dive deep into issues that other podcasts are too scared to talk about.
No topic is off limits.
All opinions are welcome.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Unlike some other popular panel shows, you know what we're talking about. These four friends have no agenda other than to tell it like it is. This is The Big Divide.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to The Big Divide. I'm your host, Scott Rowe, and we are on episode 12, season 1 of The Big Divide, and this show was conceptualized to bring some different cultures together with some of my bestest buddies in the world. We all do business together, so it's pretty cool. I hang out with your bud, do business, and do a podcast. So here we are. And really the idea was, okay, so I got my Hispanic friend, I got a black friend, I got a Jewish friend. I all pulled them together and like, hey, how would you like to do this? And, come at this thing from, different cultural perspectives. And it's been fun the last 11 weeks. Fortunately for us, we started this show in the midst of an election, and we're still in an election. So let me do a quick roll call. Do I have my black friend out there from the East Coast? Is the guy that has a challenge answering questions? Is he out there?
I'm first today, man. I'm honored. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm here.
I know you complained last week, so I thought, you know what? I'm gonna help him out.
There was no complaint. I'm good with whatever order you go with. I'm good with it.
All right. Who should I go with next?
Let's go with the older statesman.
Okay, the older statesman, the matzo ball himself, the most interesting man in the world, Jay Abramowitz. You out there, bro?
I am out here. I don't know how I feel about being the oldest statesman. Statesman is okay. Oldest, I don't know, Deeves.
Well, you can't fight that. You are the oldest.
It's true. Okay.
I don't know how I feel. I mean, what you just said, I don't know how you feel about being the oldest. Well, you better have a conversation with God about that one. I don't know.
All right. I'll work on that. But I'm here.
And then finally, the most spirited guy on our podcast, my Hispanic friend, my longest friend, was in my wedding. Will Montes, you out there, brother?
The Puerto Rican sensation is in the house.
There he is. All right, guys, we're going to do something a little bit different today. Let's start with our with the mailbag.
You've got mail.
And because, we love our audience more than we love ourselves. We always promise that we're going to get to those questions first. And there was an interesting one in there. We are coming up on Christmas, and we got to put our call into Santa. So here's the question coming from Nancy this week. I'd like to know, what is the most outrageous Christmas request the guys have of Santa this year? And I'm going to start with Jay, since you know Nancy quite well. Maybe you have put in a request for Santa, and she is answering that. What do you got going on this year? What are you looking for?
I did not have to think twice about this. So Santa,
right.
If you're listening, you ready? Can I have a Nerf gun, please?
Nerf gun.
That's a good
That
one.
might be fun. Nerf gun.
I love it, Jake.
Will
There
got
you
it.
go.
All right.
I got that. Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and if you listen, Santa, if you can't get me the Nerf gun, how about world peace?
I'll work on the Nerf gun.
That's good, Jay. That's really good.
All right, Will, what's your most outrageous Santa request?
Donald Trump to be inaugurated in January 20th, and the truth comes out about what happened in this election.
Inaugurated. All right. We'll work on world peace.
I was going to say, that's exactly where I was going. That's tougher than world peace.
That's a good one.
Oh, man.
Santa's going, no. Give me world peace. Give me world peace.
You guys are rough. All right, Deeves, what do you got going on for Christmas? What do you want Santa to bring
I got you all beat. I got you beat. I even got Will beat on this one. Mm-hmm. I want the Atlanta Falcons to get us a Super Bowl championship the next football season.
Oh, because this one's over.
Yeah, this one is done. That ain't gonna happen.
Oh, you should save it for next year then. That's a little outrageous. Absolutely. And something that I will not get, a 1956 Panhead is my most this Harley Davidson most outrageous request from my wife, who looks at me crazy every time I ask for another motorcycle. So, but that's when you go outrageous, something you ain't gonna get. Honey, can I have no? All right. Well, thank you for the question, Nancy. And again, if you have a question or a topic you want us to cover, then please put that in the comments or go to bigdivideshow.com and let us know. Let us know who your favorite host was, any comments you got to make. We got some really good comments. I'm not going to read the comments. I'm going to read the questions. So if you got a question or a topic, put it in there. We appreciate the comments. So we got plenty of those. Our listenership went up 1,200% last week. So I was pretty excited about that. Woohoo.
Wow.
And so, all right.
Might have been that train ride.
Might have been the train. Might have been. Well, that was a few weeks ago.
Metro ride. Shout out to my people here in DC.
Maybe. Okay, so we're going to do something a little different this week. We're not going to draw by the time I look up at each of these shows, I'm like, oh man, the show's almost over. It's so much fun hanging out with you three guys every single week on this podcast that time literally does fly on these podcasts. So this week we're going to break it up into 4 different segments of the show. And that means that each person on the show here is bringing a topic this week. We'll see how that goes, and maybe if the audience can let us know if they favored that or not in the comments this week, that would be great. So I'm gonna start with I'm gonna go around the horn, and I'm gonna start with Will Montez. Willie Montez, Mr. Puerto Rican himself. Do you have a topic? Are you bringing a topic this week to the table?
Yes, I am.
Okay, now let me show. So Willie's got a topic. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to talk, and then when there's 1 minute left, you're going to hear this sound at the 1 minute mark. All right, so that's the 1 minute bell right there. And then when it's over, when the round is over, and we're going to go back to our corners no matter how bloody we are getting, you're going to hear this. All right, that's the boxing bell, right? So that's the round is over. The dinner bell is you got 1 minute left. All right, so Will, what do you got for us?
Okay, good. I get to go first. Okay. I was listening to the feedback that we received, the comments, right? They're not questions, but on one of them from Jay Carreno stated that, Will gets upset because his frustration is from DV not answering questions, okay? And from B-Fly, we also got that I can be emotional and I take things personally, okay? And, it made me think a lot because feedback helps us grow, helps me grow especially, and I'm talking about my behalf. So here's my thing, okay? I don't take things personally. I'm not emotional about the topics, okay? What the frustration that I'm experiencing on the show is that I feel individuals on the show are not answering questions, okay? And they're deflecting, okay? Based on the comments. And it was good to hear from 2 strangers commenting from the listener's point of view, okay? Which let me get into this, okay? Here's my question, okay? What is the objective of the show? Because and this is for all the panelists to answer, okay? What's the objective of the show? Under my impression, it was 4 guys getting together, okay, and shooting the breeze and talking about what's going on within our lives and putting the cards on the table. So it takes 2 to tango. Okay. And when you have a conversation between 2 individuals, they got to put the cards on the table. If we're at a bar, we're having drinks, we're shooting the breeze, we're going to be talking about many, many stuff. Okay. The only thing that if one doesn't want to tango, that means the other's got to pull some teeth. Now there's 4 individuals on this panel. Okay. And here's what I feel, you got 2 individuals that are putting themselves out there in, week in and week out, and then you have one individual who deflects, and then the other individual, the last remaining individual, comes out at defense of that individual. So what I'm saying, what's really the objective of the show? Are we going to talk about our personal opinions and put them out there and not be afraid to put them out there? Or are we going to always say, you know what? I refuse to answer the question, or I refuse to give my opinion because I'm the one who's and I'll speak about me, putting my opinion out there. And when I hear that nobody else wants to do that, a certain individual, DV, right? I still love you, okay? it's frustrating, and it's like kicking a dead horse week in and week out, week in and week out. So I just want to make sure what's the objective of this show? Are we going to be? Hold on. Are we going to be? Hold on, bro. Okay?
He's about to ring the bell. You're taking the whole time.
Okay. Are we gonna put it out there, our opinions, or are we going to be continuously be afraid of putting our opinions out there? Go ahead, Scott.
Okay. Here's the objective of the show, because I'm the guy that put it all together. The objective was to get as big of audience as possible with the content that we bring to the table. That's the objective, right? Like, have fun every single week. There's lots of people out there podcasting. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I thought, man, that would be fun to kind of get people out there. And to be honest, another objective is, we do business in the real estate investing realm. And, eventually if an audience gets big enough, then the way that we grow is by networking. And that's really my objective. I mean, having fun with you guys is awesome. But wow, what a way to start the topics are. It's all about the podcast instead of an outside topic. Okay, no problem. I'm okay with the way the show's going. That because I get to say it. I'm okay with the way the show's going. It's a living, breathing thing, and but it does sound like you are taking some stuff personally.
Yeah. Hey, I need to weigh in on that because Will, you said that you weren't getting emotional. Newsflash. Frustration is an emotion.
Ding.
But I did acknowledge that I am being frustrated and emotion about the deflection. That's what irks me. It's not the topics of politics or whatever it may be, the issue at hand. It's the fact that we got 4 panelists and we got to put ourselves out there. Right? I'm not scared of looking good, bad, happy, or sad. I'm going to tell it like it is, and I'm just going to tell it like it is because we're not news reporters. We're just giving our personal opinions. That's all we're doing. And week after week, I put my personal opinions out there. I let people know how I feel. So I'm very exposed. I'm very transparent, and I sense that others are not. And that's the frustrating thing about it. You're right, Jay. Right? So I just want to make sure that what are we doing here? What is it that we are doing here? That's all I want.
For the audience, I had no idea. I have no idea what the topics are, except I do know Jay's because he kind of alluded to it early. I don't know what DV's topic is. I did not know that was going to be Willie's topic. The topic of Willie's topic is us. So, all right, DV, go ahead, man. Weigh in. Wait, hold on a minute. Jay, here's your popcorn. Here's my popcorn.
Thank you. That's good.
You
have any butter?
You got some salt? You got some salt, some water?
All right, DV.
Hey, I want to start off by saying that, first of all, letting Will know I appreciate him coming out and saying that. I love you too, brother. I got no love lost from you. And so my thing is here, I came on this a request for Scott to have fun and to enjoy a show and talk about topics that most people don't want to talk about, and we see it from a different perspective. When I come on this show, I'm not coming on here to be right. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. I'm not in here to get everybody to see everything the way I see it. I can only see it from my lens, and I can only give you guys my perspective. The one thing that I do get from this show and from Will in particular, since you called me particularly, is that you want me to see things the way that you see them and then accept them for the way that you see them, because that's the way you see it and the way you get your information. And I just don't do it that way. Right, wrong, and difference, or I don't care where you get your information. I can only go by based off of what I've seen, heard for myself. And then I make an assessment. If I don't fully understand something, I want to get a clarity on it. And when I go for a clarity on it, and if I feel like you're gonna get offensive because I'm trying to understand it better, because I one thing
offended I have or offensive, like offensive is him being offensive, or him being offended is him receiving
being offensive. It. If you're going to be offensive when I'm looking to get some clarity on it, then that's when the arguments go back and forth. However, if so the thing when you say Jay is coming to defense, I don't think he's coming to my defense. I don't need him to come to my defense, and I don't think that's what he's doing. What I appreciate with Jay is that Jay is hearing, at least he's hearing what I'm saying and saying, okay, maybe this is the way he either he didn't know or he wasn't aware, or maybe that's the way he sees it. Like, so when someone can do that, you can say, all right, at least they heard me. I don't ever claim to be correct on here or know all the facts or have that. There are some things on here that you guys have stated, and I'm like, okay, I can take that back and look at it and go with it. Even the comments that came in, someone says my arguments. I'm like, I haven't had any arguments on here really. We go about with the topics and I discuss and I see it from my perspective. But I appreciate everybody's comments. I don't get off of here and be like, ooh, they don't like me, or I'm going, no, I'm like, okay, it's done. We have fun. When we end the show, guys, and to all our listeners, I want y'all to know when we end the show, we say, hey man, that was a great show, and it's done for me. So, but I appreciate everybody's, your comments. I appreciate your love. That means you guys are listening in. That means we're doing something good. And I hope that we can continue to encourage people to listen in and we bring some good topics. I just hope we provide good content.
DV, I'm glad you put that out there because the listeners should know that when the show ends.
Yeah, Jay, you hitting puberty, buddy? What's happening?
What happened?
Your voice went up. Was that the mic or was it?
I don't know. Maybe it was the mic.
It cracked a little bit.
It did.
Or it could be puberty kicking in. I don't know.
Could be, old man.
But the audience should know that when we're done, we spend maybe 15 or 20 minutes on the line cleaning up technical stuff and so forth, and we're laughing. We're loving on each other. So there's no animosity when this call ends, not between the four of us. And I would only say with regard to Will's comments for myself, I try very hard to exercise critical reasoning. I want to be open to other opinions. I want to consider other opinions and weigh them and run them through my filter and see if they make sense. I'm willing to change my position and my opinion on things, and I will come to anybody's defense that I think deserves or needs defending. Not that DV needs defending, but so we do call it like we see it. I think all four of us are.
And Jay, you're a good referee, man.
He's a good referee.
Somebody's got to be. Come on.
Sometimes, right? Sometimes.
Can I respond to DV?
We haven't heard a bell yet.
Is this a debate? Are we in the Georgia debate?
Yeah. No. and here's what I want to say, DV. You said that I try to make you wrong when I disagree with your answers. Okay. I never said. No.
I say you want to make me right based off of what you're telling me. You want me to agree with you based off of what you're telling me.
Okay. And never did I ever on this show attempt to do that. What I want is for you to give me your answer. That's all I want. Just to give me your answer. I'm not saying your answer is right or wrong. I'm not saying my answer is right or wrong. I'm not here to wrong anybody. All right. We have opinions. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about giving me your positioning, right, to the universe. That's Scott's famous line right there. I want to know where you stand. That's all I want. Say
one of our listeners wrote in and said, and I appreciate the comment from B Fly 23 was when they gave an objection of observation of all of us. Mine just came out. You guys can read yours, whatever say. That's it.
Last sentence.
You're interested to take a political stance, and that's me. So we're ending that.
There you go. Okay. Not interested in taking a political stance. And I feel that like crazy when I ask you questions, bro. Yeah, you do not want to get nailed down for sure.
Well, speaking of politics, can I talk politics?
You know what, Jay? I was about to call on you. Hey, can we hear from Mr. Abramovich, please? What is your topic of the day?
Can I interrupt and say something really quick? 2 seconds.
Goodness.
2 seconds.
I don't know. This is going against your
Wait. You want to dig into my time? Sure.
There you go. Back off.
I just appreciate all of you guys' responses, and thank you.
All right, Chairman, can I have my time back, please?
Yeah, you can have your time back.
I got my time back. All right, so what's that called? Wait. Claiming my time. Claiming my time. Reclaiming my time. All right.
So I know we've been trying really hard to talk things other than politics because we don't want to drive our audience crazy, but I can't help it. There are some major things going on in the world, and I wanted to make an observation. So anybody that's been listening to this program knows where I stand. I would love to see Donald Trump back in office. I also I truly believe that there was a lot of election fraud, a lot of voter fraud going on here, regardless of how this turns out. And I've been hoping for the outcome that I'd like. I know it's the outcome Will wants as well, but I have also stated that I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's highly unlikely and that Joe Biden will be inaugurated. Now, last week,
which has made Willie upset in the comments, in our four-way comments all week long.
Yeah. Oh,
Jay,
man, if we've been going at it on Messenger.
Yeah.
I know.
Sorry, I don't want to take it. Go ahead.
That's okay. So last week we saw this lawsuit brought by a couple of Pennsylvania legislators against the state of Pennsylvania, and that suit was denied by the Supreme Court. And by the way, important distinction here: it was not thrown out. It was simply
I don't think it was thrown out.
It was not thrown out. It was simply denied. So the court said, we're not going to hear it right now. Now, my speculation on that is this. I believe the Supreme Court decided not to hear the case because the injunctive relief sought would not have been outcome determinative for the presidential election. That's what we're all talking about here. Pennsylvania's 20 electoral votes wouldn't shift the outcome of the election by themselves. So I believe that's why the court decided not to hear it. On the other hand, the case filed by Texas this week, suing the 4 swing states, has 62 electoral votes at stake, and that does make it outcome determinative. And that's why the U.S. Supreme Court is making the defendant states respond to the suit. In fact, as we do this recording, I believe the responses are in. They were due about an hour ago.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if it was...
Well, I haven't heard anything yet, and I'm not watching the news while we're doing this. And this is significant because it indicates that the Supreme Court, may be willing to hear the case. Now, for what it's worth, because I like both sides, 17 former officials and lawmakers filed their own brief supporting the 4 defendant states, arguing that the Texas case doesn't belong in the Supreme Court, suggesting those claims could be made elsewhere. But
where could they make them? Because now that's where could they make them?
Go ahead, Scott. That's exactly where I'm going with this. There is no other place, because the fact is, I think the Supreme Court has to hear this case because that's the only court of original jurisdiction for disputes between states.
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing to do would be grab guns and go to war between the 2 states or 4 states, right? Texas versus, and to be honest with you, I might want to see that because Texas will win.
Well, there you go. Well, it's not only Texas now, because there are now 18 states that are backing that suit.
Yeah.
This is major. Something is going to happen on this.
This is historical. This is absolutely historical right here. This is history.
There is historic precedence for this.
Okay,
but I agree with you. This is historic.
Hold on, Willie. Hold on to that. I do have a clip. This might have been one of my topics until you came to the show with this topic. But I want to play this clip from the Attorney General from Texas. I got this
from
Ken Paxton. To a podcast. What's up? Yeah, General Paxton.
Ken Paxton.
AG Paxton, and hit it.
I think that they are being disenfranchised. If your state followed state law and produced election results that were based on state law as required by the U.S. Constitution, and other states said, we're not going to follow those constitutional requirements, we're not going to follow our state law, and as a result, we don't really know, we can't verify whether any of these 2.5 million ballots and mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania are real. Well, that's a problem for my state because my state is following the law, and now we've got all these states, we don't know what the real result is, and it affects the outcome of an election, and that affects my state.
There you go.
Yeah. So, and this is an important distinction. People need to understand this is a legal issue. So I don't care whether you want Biden in office or Trump in office. Pay attention to the legal facts here. That's what's going to happen.
And Jay, let me say something to Jay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jay, please clarify, because I think I heard you or misheard you the first time. Did you say that 17 states are not supporting Texas?
No.
They're going against Texas?
No. I said that 17 former officials and lawmakers have filed their own brief supporting the 4 defendant states. There are 18 states that have filed in support of Texas. So both things are going on.
Got it. Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
I wanted to acknowledge the opposition on this.
So amicus briefs are, yep, we support the arguments, and then, almost like the General Flynn thing where other people supported Sullivan and his decision,
right.
Whatever.
Thank you for the clarity.
Yeah.
You bet.
But here's the thing. The thing is this. So I guess it comes down to this. I drive and I drive on the right side of the road. I stop at red lights because it's law. I use my turn signal because it's law, right? Then you have somebody on the road that's driving on the left side, then the right side. Anytime, you know what? This week we're going to drive on the left side, and then we're going to go through red lights. That's Pennsylvania. That's what Pennsylvania did based on this look that the AG from Texas is bringing up. Like, look, we did it by the book, by the constitutional book. These guys did not, and so that's our argument. It's not about fraud. We don't know how many people. I mean, they did. It wasn't. We're not. Our argument is not fraud. It is what was legal.
Hey, here's another important distinction. Directly to your point, Scott, Texas is not suing to change the vote outcome. They're simply suing, saying that there's damage done to our state because the votes that our people cast constitutionally are being debased and diluted by the votes that were cast in the states that didn't follow the constitutional requirements.
Okay, so what's the solution, though?
Okay, here's a couple remedies.
Give me a remedy.
Remedy 1. The individual state legislature, this is assuming that the Supreme Court hears it and denies the electoral vote right now in these 4 states. The individual state legislatures can place their state's electors for the Electoral College. In other words, the legislature would send them, not the voters, which is constitutional. Mm-hmm. And another possibility is that the states choose not to place the electors, in which case neither candidate would have 270 electoral votes, and then it goes to the House of Representatives. They would determine the winner of the election by state delegation. Mm-hmm. And this is interesting to note, 1 state, 1 vote. And right now, assuming that everybody lines up in partisan rank, there are 27 Republican, 21 Democrat, and 2 that are tied. And this is exactly how the U.S. Constitution prescribes the remedy.
That's right.
And I believe that's what's going to happen.
It's weird, dude. I mean, historic. This is historic times. DV, you got anything? You kind of quiet? Are you waiting for the Sasquatch? You're waiting for Sasquatch talk, aren't you?
Really, man. I'm like, okay, when are we going to talk about Sasquatch? I'm like ready for that. Yeah, no.
Put that on your Christmas list. Yeah, that could be your outrageous Christmas gift from me to you.
That's what it should have been. Yeah, man. How about aliens, man? I think
maybe you bringing that to top. You bringing that up today because that's a topic.
No, I could, I would, but more strange than that.
Okay.
Well, I'll save that one.
With any ideas on Texas or this lawsuit or the SCOTUS?
No, so what I appreciate about what Texas is doing is that they're really just calling out all the states. Say, hey, why are we doing everything so differently? Like, hey, we're being penalized for these other states not doing what the Constitution said, hey, we should be doing. So I think they're forcing many of the lawmakers to look at this and say, hey, why we have so many different rules for so many different states.
Yeah,
so
I believe that's a fantastic case. I mean, if SCOTUS doesn't hear that, again, Texas doesn't have a remedy. If they don't hear it, what it just means is it'll set precedents that anybody can do whatever they want in an election. And now it becomes about how the parties game it instead of
right. Because I think
what
we all ultimately want is we just want a fair election. We just want, hey, if we're going to go and vote, I could again, and I say this in terms of it's not that I don't care, but I could care less who you vote for. Just to understand that if you're voting for your particular candidate, and the way that we're all supposed to be voting. And everything's going to count. That the end results, there's no questions on it, and then we can determine who who is going to represent us as our leader of this country.
And I'm just going to chime in on this. You know, it is not impossible, but it's definitely improbable that these two candidates had the most votes in the history of the United States, and that's exactly how it stands right now. If it stands the way it is, and there was one vote for one person, and I don't think that occurred, then we have the two most popular candidates that have ever lived.
Yeah,
and I don't believe that.
Can I chime in? Go ahead, Will.
Okay. Here's the one thing. I saw Jordan Sekulow break this down. Okay. And what I loved about it, in Pennsylvania, okay, they ruled in 2019 by the state legislature, bipartisan, they passed that mail-in ballots can be approved. Okay, but then the Secretary of State and the governor started adding more stuff. You don't need ID. You don't need this. You don't need that to make it all illegal. They can take it and they don't have to check anything. And then that's where the Republicans were saying, whoa, wait a minute. This can't happen like this. And then they went to the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania and they got the ruling. And when this was broken down, if they voted back in 2007 or 2019, let's say they passed a law, bipartisan, only Puerto Ricans can vote. It's illegal according to the Constitution of Pennsylvania. They had to change and amend that Constitution. And because they didn't do that, okay, and it's illegal, and the Secretary of State and the governor took initiative, that disenfranchised other states. And they're using all the evidence they used that they've been throwing out case by case in district courts. The state of Texas, the AG has taken all that evidence, and that's what they're presenting to the United States Constitution. And when they said you got a response, that's awesome. Go ahead.
By the way, if Pennsylvania or any state acts in violation of its own state constitution with regard to electoral procedures, they're de facto in violation of U.S. Constitution law.
Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2. That's why I believe they're going to win.
That bell means it's my turn.
Oh, no. No. It's my turn.
I didn't get my turn.
I know. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I didn't get my turn either.
I thought you were stealing my time, but I was going to say,
I'm not stealing nothing.
My time, Stop the steal. Stop the steal.
You get 3/5 the time.
Was that?
That's good.
Hey, that was good. That was good.
That was a good joke, right?
That was good.
Look,
that was good. You're gonna get killed for it, but it was good.
I'm sure I'm gonna hear from Daniela this week. That's for sure. Okay. She's going right. She's going. Yeah. All right. So here's my topic. And to be honest, everything we just talked about means that we'll probably not be on YouTube this week, because they came up with some rules on YouTube this week. I'm telling you, man, talk about censorship, right? You are not allowed on YouTube this week, as of this week, you're not allowed to mention. And they didn't put any names in there, right? So the code of conduct or whatever they call it, they're like, well, if a candidate talks about elections being fraud, we are going to take that off. If a candidate, like, it's just one candidate, right? Or it's like, for the rest of United States history, YouTube's going to censor anybody that talks about our elections not being democratic, right? The funny thing is, so you're not allowed to talk about fraud. You're not allowed to talk about fraud. So that kicks us off right there. We're off of YouTube, so go check us out on Rumble. But the amount of censorship that is going on, it doesn't matter. Like, the government doesn't have to make rules these days. Corporations are doing it. Right. So again, with YouTube doing what they're doing, there's some talk that says some companies won't allow you to walk into their buildings unless you have a vaccine. Right. So it's almost like the elites, the class elites that own big corporations or big tech or whatever are saying, hey, this is what we think. And this is what we want to see in society. So we're going to make it so.
And do you have a problem with that? I don't understand.
Oh my gosh, brother.
Yeah, it's sick. I've never seen anything like this in my life. And it's so frightening. So frightening.
That is scary.
But I'll tell you this. I don't like it happening, but these big tech companies and these big corporations are so full of hubris, they're going to get themselves kicked in the butt. There will be congressional action against this. Facebook, YouTube, they're going to be broken up. They've just gone too far, and it's become too blatant. They're going to be the source of their own demise.
I think so too. I think whether it's capitalistic, like you see Parler and Rumble, having big move. Like people are moving from these platforms into new platforms and talking about them. And then the cool thing
or regulatory. It'll be both.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is political because it's become tribal, right? So the people that on YouTube or the left loves the fact that people are getting kicked off of Twitter, getting kicked off of YouTube, and I think here's what's happening: they're like, "All right, we got to install Biden as quick as we can. We got to get everybody believing certain things." This is still a narrative being perpetuated by the DC elites, the Hollywood elites, the big tech elites, right? They're like, "All right, we want the country to look the way that we want it to look. We don't want anybody in a position. We want to all think alike. We want to control the masses the way that we want to control it. And so that means that guy's got to go. So as quicker we get Biden installed, something normal that we think is normal, the better."
Do you think it'll be broken up if Biden wins, Jay and Scott?
No
YouTube.
Way. No way.
I don't know. I'm not convinced that it won't happen. It would certainly be more difficult or take more time. But it may be de facto. I can't see it not happening.
The scary thought is that they get away with this, right? And again, Jay, you've said it. I don't think there's a long shot that Trump gets back in. So let's assume that the White House is now Democrat, right? Congress, Democrat. Here's a funny thing. Swalwell getting caught with Chinese spy, right? Little romantic action with the Chinese spy. So I heard something last night that this is a plan. Like this coming out now. Swalwell has been kicked off the what committee was it? The Intelligence Committee, right?
Was he removed?
Is it removed? I'm hearing it, but is that official?
I heard it last night that he's been removed from the Intelligence Committee.
Oh, no. As of today, there was still talking about it. The Republicans are demanding that he be removed. I don't think it's been done yet. Okay.
I mean, if he's sleeping with a spy, that'll get us off YouTube.
Explain to me how that might be a problem on the Intel Committee.
I'm on the Intelligence Committee and I'm sleeping with spies from China. That's awesome.
But I know where you're going. This is a diversion.
No, it's not a diversion. It's not a diversion. I heard that the play is, hey, let's find some stuff on 5 Congress people so we can have special elections and flip the seats Republican. That's a play, right? I heard that as a play last night.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. But anyway, let me just continue. So if everything ends up Democrat, so you got the special election going or the runoff going on in Georgia. So let's say that flips blue. You got the White House is blue, Congress is blue. I think we're in trouble. I think you're going to see laws that protect big tech, and I think big tech's counting on it, and that's why they're all in on this. I know. Call me a conspiracy theory. You got to have a theory before it's actually proven.
I'm curious, what happened to Purdue in Georgia? Why didn't he show up for the debate? Isn't that weird?
He put a lid on it. It worked for Biden, so why not? Why not just sit in your basement and wait for the results?
I think that was a huge mistake on his part. I thought that was a horrible play. Horrible not to show up. I don't understand that. He made a comment today on the news that he said, I didn't come to the debate because we already talked about those things. Oh, BS.
Yeah, you show up anyway and talk about them again for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Big mistake. I don't know what's up with Purdue. Something about him makes me a little squeamish. I don't know what it is. I cannot put my finger on it.
And I saw somewhere where what's her name? Kelly Loeffler. She is not liked by anybody on any side. Really, I saw a clip on one of the. I think it was on Roland Martin.
Yeah, I want to know the source. Like, what's the source that says she's liked by
you just said I
nobody?
heard. You didn't say your source where you was just hearing all this stuff.
Oh, there we go. Here we
I'll
go.
tell you
now
my
it's
source.
like, ring that bell again. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. But
Let me get my 16-ounce gloves on right now.
I was just telling you, I saw it on Roland Martin. Roland Martin on Unfiltered. This is where I get some of my news when I go to, or stuff because they talk about a lot of different things. But it was just showing a clip where both the Republicans and Democrats and, all the news outlets were questioning this lady and, her tactics and some of the things. Like, nobody likes her, but how does she even, she wasn't even elected. She was appointed. So I don't understand the dynamics of there. And then she just looked like a robot for her debate. So I'm like, I don't know what the appeal is for her. So I just thought it was strange.
If they don't cheat in the election, she's going to win by a landslide.
That's going to be the caveat every time there is an election from now on. If there's no cheating,
if they don't cheat,
No. The harm has already been done.
I'm not even knocking Willie. I'm just going to say that it's tribally, and we're so split down. Right now the country's so split. It don't matter. Like, if somebody wins, they're like, well, it was Russia, right? I started there, and then now it's it's Dominion, right? So there's. Again, how do you bring it back together?
But one thing I want to say is what you said, Scott, in regards to China, these politicians in bed with spies. Dianne Feinstein, her driver was a spy, and he was in her vehicle for 20 years.
Yeah.
Just think about that. All these people are compromised. And, China, the NBA, Mark Cuban, Facebook, they're all ties to China. And they want to do to us what they're doing to the Chinese people. And the one thing I will say, on Tucker Tucker had a great special. Jay, thanks to you, I watched that. I watch it every day, but I made sure to watch it because you saw what they're doing and their objective when it comes to us, right? And they want to take over. And
so the listeners know what you're talking about. Tucker Carlson broke the story where we saw this Chinese professor talk about how the Chinese government looks at the U.S. They feel like we're the puppet on a string.
Oh, yeah. I even talked about that guy. I don't know if you're talking about the same thing. They talked about having influence over higher up people in the government already.
Yes.
We got our people in place. Don't worry about it.
That was it.
But one last thing, they're in bed with China, and that's what they want us to do. And we're divided in the United States, but China and their objective, they're united. And just notice what they're doing to Hong Kong. They're taking all their freedoms. Jimmy Lai, he is a billionaire tycoon, owns the paper of freedom, and just arrested. His family, the protesters are put in concentration camps in China, taken away from Hong Kong, and this is not what England signed up for. So they're moving forward, trying to take over the world, and we're fighting within ourselves. And we got to start waking up and finally realize what China is actually doing to us. And the one thing is and that's why I'm saying, in my crystal ball, Donald Trump is going to win. The Supreme Court, based on everything that's going on, they're going to follow the law, the Constitution. They're going to say, no, we cannot allow this to happen, because if not, we're doomed. And I'm scared. That's a scary thought. Go ahead.
So, Will, if Donald Trump doesn't win, you're going to break that crystal ball?
We need that Senate. I've been right all along. I said there was a fraud, a dream. I was correct. I've been correct ever since the beginning, right? Since this election started, since we've been doing this podcast.
You have been a little prophetic.
Well, in 40 days, we're going to know.
Really? 40 days? Is that the inauguration, or is that
That's the inauguration.
I'm going to say this last thing. Just notice, Safe Harbor Day just passed, and the election's still up for the grabs. Right?
Wait a minute. Wait, hang on. Safe Harbor. Show me that in the Constitution. It doesn't
It's not
exist.
in the Constitution, but everybody thought that it's a safeguard so that they can get the electors together. That's all it is.
I'm actually surprised. I'm surprised that wasn't hounded more yesterday. I'm not listening to mainstream media much these days, but did they try to harp on that? Like, it's Joe Biden. Was that part of the news yesterday?
I didn't hear that in the mainstream.
And here's the reason why you didn't hear it, Scott. Here's the reason why. January 20th is the official date. All the other dates is just to get
the mainstream media has already told us,
according to the United States Constitution. Go ahead.
Yeah, but the mainstream media has already told us, okay, it's president-elect, the office of the president-elect, our new vice president-elect, Kamala Harris, right? They're talking about when Joe Biden takes over. So I'm surprised that the mainstream media did not
Kamala hasn't given up that Senate seat yet in San Francisco.
I know. All right, that was good. I don't know. I'm very interested in our audience feedback on how these little segments are going and how the bells are keeping us all civil and stuff. Because by now we would all have been at each other's throats.
Stop the steal. Y'all stole me. We'll get it next week.
We didn't steal you. How we steal you?
No, you're up next.
Oh, I thought we were ending it. Oh,
we ain't ending it. No, bro.
Oh, okay.
No, bro. I saved the best for last, Stevie.
Oh, I like it. Validate me.
I saved the best for last, Stevie.
Thank you. I appreciate your validation.
All right, here we go. So one more topic left, Stevie. I have no idea what you brought to the table, but I'm interested. So everybody, roll out the red carpet and give a hand to D.B. Robertson, everybody.
I'm sitting at the edge of my seat.
I can't wait, dude. Here we go.
Come on, DB.
No, so hey, I just saw something that was interesting. I want y'all your take on it. So LeBron James, who was just recognized as being the athlete of the year, for the year, he has an opportunity to actually play with his oldest son. What does that say about LeBron and his time since he's been in the league, that he could actually be playing with him?
Oh, I guess they're out of time. Is that what you? I knew what you were texting. Good job, Mr. Producer. Yeah. All right, so set me up. I knew it. Oh, he set him up, dude.
There you go.
Justin, I thought we was boys. Justin.
Well played, Justin. And that's why he asked. He said, "I'm not going to do that." And I said, "Yeah, right. Remember that? Remember that? I'm not going to do that." Oh man,
keep that. Y'all got to keep that in there. That's got to stay in.
That's funny. Oh, of course it's staying in, bro. This is the best part of the show today. All right, well, let's go back to the topic. I was just teasing. So LeBron James playing with his son.
Yeah,
what's the question?
He just signed a 2-year extension with the Lakers.
Yeah.
So the fact that he is going to be playing, he has an opportunity or possibility to play with his older son. What does that say about LeBron, his career? You know, we always try to make, the debate about who's the GOAT, Michael Jordan or Kobe or LeBron. But, now he's got 4 championships. He's in his, I think, 17th season or something like that. But he could possibly play with his son. What does that say to LeBron's career?
You're not only good at avoiding questions, you're good at being vague on the. I don't know what you're asking me. Like, hey, I think it'd be great for him and his son to play on the same court together. That would be a moment, right? That's never happened in NBA history. So he'll make history that way. I don't think it makes him the greatest of all time, for sure. I mean, that's about stats and wins and leading and playing with one team, not like 27. So
you do know that's going to be added to the conversation, though. Hey, Michael Jordan never played with his boys. He wasn't so good. His sons didn't make it to the NBA.
Who's going to add that to the conversation?
Somebody's going to add that to the conversation.
This is controversial.
Somebody's going to add that to the conversation.
Are you kidding me? So him playing with his son, like, okay, now he's a great. So all an NBA player has to do is get somebody on the court with himself, is his son.
No. I'm simply saying that's going to be added to LeBron supporters are going to add that to the conversation. Oh, well,
let me tell you how many people are going to add that to the conversation. Let me tell you how many people are going to add that to the conversation of the GOAT. One, and his name is Davey.
Okay, all right. We'll see.
So Davey, you bring up that subject. I'm curious. How do you feel about your own question?
How do I feel about LeBron?
Yeah, LeBron playing with his son. What's your position?
I think that'll be a great accomplishment. I mean, the fact you get to play with your first offspring in the NBA. We're assuming that his son will.
Whose accomplishment is it? Whose accomplishment is it?
Both LeBron and his son.
Okay, all right. I don't know. Like I applaud him. I think that LeBron's a great human, right? With everything he does for a community, right? A great human. But as far as his role in the NBA, he's like Darth Vader, dude. I mean,
how so?
How so? I mean, he's not liked. He's like the. you know how the Patriots are hated by everybody but anybody in New England? That's how LeBron is most places, I believe. I believe that LeBron, what he's done to his career with the controversy and his arrogance, his narcissism, and the decision and, you know, like crazy, like, you know, taking over the control and saying, hey, we're going to put a team together. The players we're going to, between him and when they did the Miami thing, I just, you know, in my world, I believe that as far as, here you go. I think he's a great human, okay, with his contribution community, but his class on the court leaves something to be desired.
And off the court, too.
No, he's all right off. I mean, look, the whole China thing was a little weird, right, for me. I think he did. Didn't he say something about, did he make a mention about, I don't need any white friends? Was that something I heard? Is that a rumor? What, DV, you're probably at your ear to the ground on the NBA better than I do. Is that something that was brought up? Can you clear that up?
I didn't hear anything.
I could have swore like there was a rumor, and I don't want to say anything.
I can't say he did or didn't.
Like, maybe somebody else knows on the show here. I heard it. I can't substantiate it, but I do.
So you don't think he's a great player?
Oh, he's a fantastic player.
He's the best player in the league right now. Do you disagree with that?
Yeah, he's the best guy that can handle the ball. But when it comes to all roundness, if I had to pick the GOAT, the greatest of all time, he will never be in that conversation. He can, but because what he has done, and his lack of doing, he'll never pass Jordan ever.
Okay. For me, we had this discussion before, you know, about the greatest GOAT. Okay, and you guys know how I feel about LeBron James. Okay, when it comes to basketball play, he is the greatest today. But compared to Michael Jordan, oh no! If he played in that league when Michael Jordan played, you know, LeBron wouldn't last because
he'd have lost his attitude a lot.
A lot, right? Don't touch me. He's soft, right? And
he don't play defense. He's just, you know, he's very where Jordan was about team. Even when he's like, give me the ball, he was doing it because he wanted the team to win, right? When you know, you've seen LeBron walk off the court early, frustrated, right?
Oh. And the one thing off the court, you know, I love sports. You know, I played sports as a kid and everything, and it's always been non-political. It was something that always bring us together. And the NBA, their ratings are in the toilet, and for the one reason, because these athletes, right, like LeBron James, right, that guy's going to be a billionaire. The man's going to be a billionaire, but he believes that there's systemic racism. Notice how he lives. And it's far from the truth. And the one thing where Daryl Morey from the Houston Rockets, he came out and tweeted on behalf of Hong Kong that we stand for freedom and we stand with Hong Kong. LeBron James called him out. You're uneducated. This is the GM of the Houston Rockets. And then all of a sudden, the NBA, because of LeBron James positioning against the GM, took his side. And the GM
so
had
Will,
to...
you don't...
Hold on, let me finish. The GM took his side. The GM took the league side, and he had to retract everything. And if you look at now what's going on in China with Hong Kong, people, right, are being killed, right, because they don't want freedom of speech. And just notice what they're doing to America. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. They're trying to do everything that China's done over here. And just notice, and a lot of people are waking up, just like myself, Scott, and Jay, when we say, hey, we're kind of scared about what's going to happen to this country, a free country becoming socialist, and corporations are controlling us. That's not America for us. That's not America. So when LeBron James took that stance, I lost all respect for him as a person with all those billions, because with all those hundreds of millions, should I say, because he is going to be a billionaire, and his voice matters, and people believe that. People believe what comes out of his mouth, and what he's teaching the youth, that because you're black, right, you're less. right? You're defined by your blackness, and that's not good. That's not a good message because he made it in the promised land. When he was 14 and he was the prodigy, it wasn't because of the color of his skin. It was because of his basketball skills. His skill sets got him to where he is. That's all I got to say. Go ahead. You have a question for me.
Yeah, you're saying because you mentioned about he believes there's systemic racism as one of the reasons why you don't like him.
Okay.
Right? Did I hear that correctly?
He says that there is systemic racism. He's defined by this systemic racism. And if there is systemic racism, he wouldn't be a millionaire. If this is China, he wouldn't be the person that he is today in China. Just Yao Ming. Yao Ming just made millions, but you know what? Who controls him? The government of China. He ain't got that freedom.
So because he is a multi-millionaire in America, that means there's no such thing as systemic racism?
Here's what I'm saying.
I mean, let's put it this way. It doesn't matter who's a millionaire. It's still a question about systemic racism. Like, what is systemic racism? That is not something that you can actually pin down, right? Like, there is systemic racism. All right, which law keeps you systemically down?
Yeah, but according to Will, he's saying because he has the potential to be a billionaire in this country. That means there's no systemic racism because he's going to be a billionaire.
The system allowed him to be a billionaire.
I think Will was pointing out that LeBron might have been disingenuous in calling that out, given his circumstances.
Thank you,
exactly.
Jay.
There you go.
I mean, the guy went to his LA home and he had derogatory graffiti on his fence. So, I mean, there's still racism in America.
That's not systemic.
I got a question for you. Here's the difference in the two people, and this brings up my point. It brings my point home. He's Darth Vader. How many people did that to Kobe's house?
None that I know of.
Exactly, right? People don't like LeBron James. They don't. And it's not because of his attitude. It's not. You didn't see Jordan. Even Jordan's like, hey, listen, everybody buys shoes. I'm for everybody. But you know, LeBron James brings his attitude into the fold.
I guess the challenge I have it is that you all could
you like LeBron. Don't you? A big LeBron fan, ain't you?
No, I don't have anything against.
Who's your
LeBron.
favorite player of all time? Who's your favorite player of all time?
Michael Jordan.
Oh,
Michael Jordan's my favorite player of all time. I've always said that. I just don't.
This just became a weird conversation then. Okay. So good.
No, but I just respect LeBron
I forget where you weighed in last time. Who do you think was the greatest, LeBron or
I said
Jordan?
Michael Jordan.
You did.
Right.
Okay.
I said Michael Jordan. I said, however, I can't overlook what LeBron has done.
Let's just sum it up. That was a weird question. I think it's good that LeBron's going to get to play with his son. For that family, that's an awesome thing. That's amazing, right? I don't think it makes him the greatest of all time.
Is his son a good player, or the Lakers are allowing him to play?
Ding, ding, ding! It's over. All right. So where it heads. So is his son a good player? I don't know. Answer that question, Deeves, and we'll get done. I'm sure the audience is like,
I don't
they
know.
don't even know.
No, I don't think he's as good as I don't know.
Is he good enough to make a roster? How's that?
Well, yeah, he's good enough to make a roster.
Okay. There you go. Maybe he'll play with his dad then.
Yeah, he is not the player that his dad was in high school.
Okay. Sounds good.
I wouldn't want to have to live up to that.
Right. That'd be tough,
that's the same thing
How
Jordan
tough
boys
is that?
ran into.
Right.
So
yeah.
Exactly. Okay, guys, that will put an end to the show. I appreciate everybody on the show today. It was good. You guys can go to the bigdivideshow.com and let us know what you thought of the segmented show today. Our first time, actually, something we talked about in the beginning, and we actually did it today with a little bell.
Hey, Scooty, I'm taking notes here. I'm not sure I got that right. Did you say bigdivideshow.com?
Bigdivideshow.com. You can go there, leave comments. You can check out all of our past shows. They're all pretty good. And you can also let us know how much you like Will Montez or don't like Will Montez.
Yeah, don't forget to vote for your favorite host.
Yeah, vote for your favorite host. Let us know who you thought, and, you know,
can they only vote one time? They can only vote one time, right? So we make it's good. It's only one time.
Depends on what state you're in.
Depends on what rules, exactly.
If you're in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin or Georgia,
I say we play Pennsylvania rules.
Vote. There you go.
Vote like crazy. Keep voting.
Early voting is
Vote early,
I
vote
kind of
often.
like this bell
Mail
stuff.
in your vote. You didn't know by it, though.
Yeah.
Hey, let us know what you thought in the comments. Leave us some topics. We'll always cover yours first because we love our audience more and we love ourselves. From the Big Divide, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week, guys.
This has been The Big Divide. Don't forget to subscribe for your weekly dose of unfiltered and unapologetic conversation.
Done and done.
And of course, share this episode with all of your friends. Well, maybe not the sensitive ones.
You apologize right now.
Do you have a question, topic, or opinion that you want to hear discussed? Go to BigDivideShow.com and tell us all about it.
Or simply look up Big Divide on Instagram or Facebook and send us a message.